Hi, Jen.
Hello, Hillary.
One day we're gonna get that right.
I know we used to be really good at it, and all of a sudden we're not.
I know.
It's fine. We have a pretty big ep today. Are you ready?
As ready as I'll ever be. This is Sunday, November 16th. If you're listening, it is on or after Wednesday, November 19th, 2025. This is season 7, episode 46.
And you're listening to Kissing Lips and Breaking Hearts with the Garden Tarts. And welcome to our first Tart Talk of 2025.
And
First
our
and only.
no, I know. But so if you're new here, we do one album a year. At least we have been for the past few years. We kind of started moving too fast at the beginning,
Yeah.
but it's okay. So this year, all year in theory, we've been preparing for No Line on the Horizon. When I say in theory, I mean the past week. We've had a year and I've been working on it a week, maybe not even a
Well,
whole.
we've been mentally preparing, knowing it was in the future. So this episode is side A.
Yes.
Talk a bit, album overall, then we'll go through the first half of the album, and then we're gonna say goodbye. Hillary and I are gonna get right back on and do side B, but y'all will have it next week, the following week.
Yeah. We'll let
Um,
you put that information on there too.
yeah. Another important thing to know is after every moment, so we finish the main album, and after every song, we drink.
We got this idea because Bruce Springsteen says every time he finishes a song in the studio, they take a shot. That said, maybe he finishes a song a week or something like that. Like his is much more manageable. Ours is just crazy.
So you could imagine side B has a different feel than side A.
Definitely.
So I guess we dive right into side A of No Line on the Horizon.
Yeah. I have a statement of absolution.
Okay.
To me, you two are the greatest band in the whole world ever. Ergo, the worst of their albums are better than most artists' best albums. Does that make sense? So, like, the worst of theirs is still better than anything. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Right.
Yeah. So it pains me to speak ill of most of U2's works, but I'm not a fan of No Line on the Horizon. I've been listening in many different media and situations, but I just can't get behind it. It's quite possible that my opinion of this album is due to my lack of technical musical understanding, but probably not. Also, when we recorded our October Tart Talk, I found that my aversion to October was not nearly as severe as I expected. So maybe no, no, not going to happen here. Nice try though.
Nice try.
I did find more songs on here that I had more of an affinity for than I thought I did. But anyway,
Fair. Fair. Me
please,
too. Yeah.
please forgive me if you're a listener. If you're you too, please forgive me. But it's still better than like almost anybody else's albums ever in the history of the world.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you go to the album on iTunes, there's always like a big write up. Like, it starts with if you were to ask three U2 fans their opinion on this album, you would get three different, very strong opinions. It is a very divisive album when it comes to the fan world. I like more songs than I thought. I can sit through and listen to this album with little trouble, just a little bit of trouble sometimes. But doing this research felt like I was doing it for art class.
Yeah. Oh,
Like, it
I
felt
like
like a college level art class. Like, and I'll have more to say about some of the specific songs, but it felt less like a passion in learning about these songs that I feel in my heart so much and learning more about them, and more like a high level arts history research project.
yeah, I get that.
Which made it challenging.
Yeah. Well, you
Yeah,
could say that again. It was challenging.
yeah.
Where would this rank in your 2 albums?
I would probably put it I October is last for me, so I think it would put it before October.
Okay. This would be last, and October is second to last.
Yeah.
But again, that said, when we did October years ago, I was so surprised by how much I liked it.
Right, right. And also, I would put this second to last, but also one of my favorite songs is on this album.
Yeah.
So, gotta go with that. So, you two had just had two really successful and also really similar albums with All You Can't Leave Behind and How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb. And similar in the way that U2 sounds like U2. Like, they were the big rock classics, the big YouTube classics. And, they can't do that. They've gotta reinvent themselves, right? In 2006, Edge went to LA to meet with Rick Rubin to talk about a new album. They worked on some stuff, and it was just too rock and roll. Like, it just wasn't it felt too familiar. It wasn't where they were going. In 2007, they went to Fez in Morocco, and what happened was, I guess Bono had been invited multiple times to this religious music festival, but had never been, and he kinda, like, mentioned it to the band thinking they would shoot it down, and they were like, "Oh, let's try it." And one of the reasonings is because Achtung Baby was such a departure from where they were, and they put so much of that on Berlin that they thought changing the setting would create some other big shift, and I call bullshit on that. Because they were in Berlin in this inspirational place, but they were, like, in the middle of 5 divorces. Like, the band was on edge, like, was thinking about getting divorced. Edge was getting divorced. Oh, like, there was
Yeah.
the turmoil in their lives and amongst the 4 of them, you're not gonna find that in a location.
No, no, no. My kind of story to that, like, I have a friend that was moving to California, and he was talking to my brother, and he said, "The thing is about moving away is you have to fix yourself before you go, or else you're gonna follow yourself there." And I feel like that's what this was, or that's what that method of recording was.
Yeah. Oh, for sure, like, they tried to get out of town and
Yeah,
get away from the troubles in it,
but they follow
it
themselves there.
and it created an amazing
Yeah.
album that was Achtung Baby and kept the band together. They wanted to work with Eno and Lanois again, but this time instead of bringing them on as, like, consultant producers, they decided to make them writers. So it was a six-piece band in Fez, and, I mean, that was the first bad choice in my opinion. It it it's why there's such the the album is all over the place.
Oh, yes, it
It's not cohesive at all. Parts of it are. It's supposed to be in 3 parts. I mean, maybe not intentionally, but there's first part, which doesn't really have a name, and then the second part, Bono calls the Rubber Soul part, and it's, like, kind of the hits, the poppy hits, and then there's this other part, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. They were in Fez for 2 weeks. Oh, this was interesting. One of the things the religious singing in Fez is this Sufi, S-U-F-I, singing, which has a lot to do with breathing, and apparently Jeff Buckley studied that a lot, and
mhm,
Bono mentioned that Jeff Buckley was an inspiration of his, which
insane.
made me happy because Jeff Buckley's album, Grace, is where I first got the name Grace from my daughter.
Yeah.
So that
Oh,
feels very full circle
yeah.
for me. Steve Lillywhite ended up taking everything they had and tried to put it back together to get to this final part.
I have my little production notes.
Yes, please.
It was released on February 27th, 2009, recorded from May of 2007 to December of 2008 in, Fez, Dublin, New York, and London. That's a question that I have, like, about changing studios. Like, is that you're chasing a new sound, or is it convenience or availability or the producers, or what? I wanna know that.
Yeah, I've often wondered about that too, but never. Yeah, it's a good question for Bono over whiskey and cake.
That's what it's on there for. So yeah, producers Brian Eno, Daniel Lanois, Steve Lillywhite. The singles were "Get on Your Boots," "Magnificent," and "I'll Go Crazy If I Don't Go Crazy Tonight." 2006, they started working with producer Rick Rubin, who he's worked with a lot of people, but for some reason, the one that jumps out at me is Beastie Boys. Anyway, Bono said that the album was gonna go in a different direction. He said, "We're gonna be a band, but maybe The Rock will have to go. Maybe The Rock has to get a lot harder." I have this in several different places, but whatever, man.
Yeah.
I have that statement in okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Ruben,
Can I add a Bono quote with
please.
that? He said, "We learned a lot from Rick Rubin. He's head over heels in love with the concept of the song, but our feeling was you don't go to rock and roll just for the songs. We wanted songs that would take us into a different world." And because Brian and Dan, Eno and Lanois are experimental in their niches, the opportunity to bring some experimentation into the pop consciousness is so exciting to them and to us. Okay,
Um,
continue.
Rubin encouraged them to go back to basics. He wanted the band to bring a finished song to the studio, and this conflicted with U2's, recording style, which is just, like, writing songs at the mic. Um, and
Until they arrive, yeah.
yeah, they said that they were gonna shelf Rick Rubin's versions of stuff until possibly a later time, but I really wonder what those sounded like. Yeah, I really, really wonder that. So, Eno and Lanois, Bono hoped that they would collaborate as full writing partners in recording of an album of futuristic spirituals and future hymns. Again, whatever, man. They gathered in Fez where they were inspired by the culture.
Okay. So I have a few quotes from the band from before and a few from many years later that I feel like sets us up for a nice context to get into the album a bit. Larry said that he thinks it's some of the best music they had ever written. Edge said he wanted people to listen to it as opposed to just buying it. He wanted it to be like an album that you sit and listen to from beginning to end, like the records that he grew up with. Adam said that they wanted to open the thing up and that will determine the direction as going with, and Lanois and being at Fez. And he also said the first session Larry was performing on electric drum kit, which settled things down. So it allowed them to come in more softly, I guess, physically and mentally. Bono said, so we got together and it was an amazing experiment, threw up all these ideas. Bono said he allowed himself to wear the clothes of characters that wandered into his imagination, to which Hillary and I, after the album came out, very quickly said, leave that to Sting.
Yes. I have that in 2 different places in this.
Yeah,
We say that traditionally, if Bono wrote a song about, like, "I hung my head," I would hope that someone would go check on his brother because he's probably dead.
right.
Yeah, that's
And Bono has tried to write in third person before, and it always comes back around.
yeah.
And we do see that in this album. But the ones where it doesn't, you can
There's
tell.
just it's just missing something that
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're
Um,
right, that is something we since way before this album even came out, we discussed that Sting's capable of writing characters and Bono is not.
yeah. And then this album came out and he
Yeah.
started talking about third person and we went,
"Nope,
uh-uh,
we already decided that. You
that
should
stings.
you should
Yeah.
ask us before you make a big decision like that because we have an answer."
Adam talked about not wanting to rush the release. They're not going to apologize like we have for every other bloody record and say, if we'd had more time, this would have been better. Or this would have been better, that would have been better, like think pop or something. So, cut to this gentleman, Al Melchior, in March 2024. He writes for the American Songwriter, wrote this article called Artist Remorse, Why No Line on the Horizon Didn't Meet U2's Expectations. And he collected quotes from more recent interviews on
And
what the band had said. In talking with the Irish Independent in 2015, The Edge concluded, I think we probably should have said it's an experimental work. That's what it is. Like, just say what it is, dude.
like, just that comment, it's, when you think about Passengers, like, they didn't try to pull that off as a U2 album. It was
No,
experimental, and they made it very clear. But this is Passengers Part 2, and nobody talks about that.
literally, because Passengers is a six-person band.
No.
Okay, most of the band felt that the album suffered from their lack of commitment to a particular process or style, lack of continuity. Bono conceded in 2009 that they didn't pull off the pop songs. Yep. And Larry said it was pretty fucking miserable. It turns out we're not as good as we thought we were, and things got in the way. That's humbling right there.
Very.
And Steve Lillywhite said, I don't think the spirit of what they set out to achieve was translated. Something happened that meant it did not come across on the record. Yeah. I think I had one more thing that I found just now, but let me see. Oh, there was in this Rolling Stone, the collector's edition, they were talking about how they're like one crap album and you're out. And I guess Songs of Innocence that came out, and Larry said something like, if this album threw us out, I'd be okay with that. I'm
Yeah,
assuming that means because they're proud of the work.
yeah.
But then he said, "To go down in flames on No Line on the Horizon, that I was not prepared to do." So,
So,
yeah, don't go out on that one.
no, 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 please don't. Well, they didn't, so we're all good. Okay, so just like we said with our we do a
Oh,
shot after every song we discuss. Today, our shooter is creme de cacao, peppermint schnapps, and after we discuss each song, we will do a shot. The name of this shot is in direct relation to the 2 crap albums because it's good enough.
It's good enough to keep them going. Okay, so one of the reasons we thought this was a fun drink to do these are shooters, not shots. They are because we are classy bitches.
Yeah.
What's the difference? A shooter is a mixed drink that you can do as a shot. Um, I liked it because there's so many you can do that have, like, a split in them, like the liquors don't mix.
The
This
layers, yeah.
one, no line on this horizon. Mine's brown because my creme de cacao has been, artificially colored.
Are we gonna do a shot before we no,
Oh,
let's
we always do it right after we do it after the main part too.
okay. So, mine is I couldn't find my garden tart shot glass. Well, I have this shot glass from the Spy Museum in DC, which I think my grandmother gave me because she went on some
Bubby?
yeah, she went to some trip there. But then I'm like, well, it should be YouTube based, but think about it. The Spy Museum, I'm sure they have something in that Spy Museum about the U2.
Oh, the YouTube lane, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So
Okay, well, here we go. Good enough.
good enough. Well, let's talk for a second about the cover art, which
Oh,
I just find absolutely
yeah.
fascinating. But the photo was taken by Hiroshi Sugimoto. Bono negotiated use of the photo for the cover artwork with the condition that no other words appear on it, including the band's name. So a lot of them come in a sleeve and they have a sticker that says what it is.
Mhm.
But I think that's really cool. This is one of my favorite album covers for sure.
It's so
Probably my
cool.
favorite album cover.
Yeah. I was looking at the box set today and I realized that the CDs had a sleeve on it with the lines because you couldn't put anything on the artwork.
Yeah. So the album debuted at number 1 in 30 countries, not this one. And the sales of the album were far less than anticipated.
Yeah, my guess is that it did well because anyone's gonna buy the new U2 album, but once word kinda got out.
So I just have a bunch of little random I'm gonna jump around. The band described many of the tracks from Fez, which were Moment of Surrender, White as Snow, No Line on the Horizon, and Unknown Caller, unsuitable for radio play or playing live. That was their first take on them. Yeah, I guess they thought they moved on from there. Okay, so in February 2009, Bono said that by the end of the year they would release unused material as songs of ascent.
Yeah,
Whatever, man.
whatever, man, and Larry talked about this being part 1 of a two-part album, and they seemed very confident that a second album was going to follow, that Songs of Ascent was going to follow.
Yeah. So the album leaked 2 weeks before release. Edge said the advantage of a leak is that you know beforehand if fans like it. That's interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. Listen, Rolling Stone ranked No Line on the Horizon as the best album of the year and the 36th best album of the decade.
Like, that year, that must have been an in the moment decision
It must have been.
as opposed to later.
I
Yeah.
had a I have a big what. He did a lot of promo appearances, and I think that it's more than any other album ever that they've done.
Yeah.
They did so much.
There were so many interviews that I couldn't find. I found bits and pieces of. Like, in the Now Stokes book, it kept mentioning and in AJ Sam's book, it just kept saying, "So and so said this in this interview," and I made notes and went to look for those interviews, but it's like Q and Mojo and, like, those things don't exist anymore.
Mm,
So I found some of them because I wanted to read more of them, and YouTube.com did have some of that content on their website, but no, but yeah, lots of interviews.
yeah.
And Eno and Lanois did stuff too. And they did that cool interview with Shirley Manson, like, yeah, lots of stuff.